In the Gambia, agriculture continues to be the backbone of the country's economy, providing the much-needed food resources and raising revenue for economic growth. This industry, since time immemorial, served as a beacon of hope, thus becoming an indispensable enterprise. Recent times have witnessed considerable progress in agricultural production with the intervention of new techniques and methods of production. One such nationalist whose emergence into the limelight since 1994 heralded positively on all spheres of our national life could not have impacted immeasurably on agriculture. President Yaya Jammeh's involvement in food crop production, aquaculture, and animal husbandry is so glaring. He considers himself a natural-born farmer, raised on the farm, and whose ancestors were farmers, hunters, and herbalists. Despite having been to school, Dr. Jammeh could not divorce himself from his roots.
Farming is one activity where you can relax, which is natural, and you feel a sense of fulfillment. Also, from a religious and spiritual point of view, I believe that tilling the soil also, there's a lot of benefits in it, and it's one way of worshiping the Almighty Allah.
Agriculture is one such preoccupation that humanity cannot forego and knows no class of people. Its importance in providing for the national food basket cannot be overemphasized.
Even if this country becomes industrialized to a point, to more than even the industrialized West, without food, the industry is useless because you need people to operate those industries. And if they are hungry, they have nothing to eat. It's going to be practically impossible. Also, I believe that to develop the country, you must know what it takes to develop it. And knowing that agriculture is the backbone of this country, as a president, I must be involved in it to know the constraints and what farmers go through. You know, their sufferings, how difficult it is, their constraints, you know, and what needs to be done. Because now nobody can tell me how a farmer feels like, because I am already a farmer. I know how it feels to be a farmer, and I know the constraints and what needs to be done to improve upon agriculture.
The Back to the Land slogan that President Jammeh initiated has indeed served as an inspiration for many people to go into agriculture, as he himself is manifestly seen to be championing the cause of the slogan.
From '94 to date, even people in high government positions have realized how much savings they can make by just having a small farm at the back. Now, most people have reduced their expenditure by growing things that they need on a daily basis. Most of them have vegetable gardens just at the backyard. Some of them even have farms. Also, you have to look at the social aspect of it. Kanilay is very interesting. Sometimes you find that two neighboring villages are at loggerheads. They are arch enemies. They find themselves in Kanilay, and all of a sudden they are working on the same farm, or working in the same field, and they are bound to talk together, to each other. And if it happens that I'm there and I'm aware of it, you easily reconcile them without any major problems. The social aspect of it, because also the Kafo spirit has dissipated in this country. But because of going to Canada, now people are reviving this Kafo thing, because agriculture also is about community. For us to be more effective and more productive, we have to bring back the community spirit.
President Jammeh believes the large participation of people in agricultural undertakings will help to reduce dependency on imported food items. Knowledge acquisition about various methods of production and research also stimulate the Back to the Land slogan.
Students go there and learn about agriculture. If Kanilay Farm was not there, maybe they wouldn't have even gone. If I have not gone back to the land, we will be interested in going to see a farm. You understand? But at least people from an early age, students, go there and say, oh, I also want to be like the President Jammeh. Even if I become president, also I want to be a farmer. So you inculcate in the minds of young people the spirit of industriousness, that is farming or being dependent on yourself, self-reliance, because also agriculture gives you this amount of self-confidence that normally you may not get elsewhere. So it's really very important.
The Kanilay Farms and Garden Project is in good shape. A wide variety of food crops are grown on a yearly basis, as well as a well-maintained orchard of fruit trees, some of which are on experimental basis. There are countless species of fruit trees as well as food crops. Anything you can think of in agricultural activity apart from genetically modified crops are visible in the Kanilay farms. The production of rice, the country's staple food, is undertaken on a wide scale. Large expanses of land are being cultivated year after year, and President Jammeh himself spearheads the production of this staple food.
Rice consumes almost 80% of our hard currency, and it's one commodity that you can never lose, if you understand. There will always be a buyer. And of course also the advantage of long storage. It's not highly perishable. But since it is the staple diet of this country, it consumes almost 80% of our foreign hard currency. It is important that we grow it here and change the status quo.
A lot of the varieties of rice species have been secured from Taiwanese mission, such as the Gambianka, which can be harvested 7 times after the first harvest.
We are the only ones in this country that have the Gambianka rice. It takes 5 months from planting to harvest, and so it needs an area which has a lot of water. But after the first harvest, you can harvest 7 times the same crop. So that's the advantage that you have. We look at the human and moral aspect of it. So whatever is harvested in Kanilay, before it is brought to the market, to the consumer, we make sure that it's the best.
The famous Nerika rice is also being manifestly put to the test in Kanilay, and the benefits accrued from its production are immense. This species, brought in by the National Agricultural Research Institute, NARI, has 99% likelihood of harvest whenever you grow it.
Nerika, if it has minimum of 31 days of rain, you will harvest it. Wherever you plant Nerika, you will harvest it by the grace of Allah.
There is an interesting comparison between the rice species of Gambianka and Nerika. The Gambianka has a high yield, twice as high as Nerika, but there are attendant safeguards to note.
Planting to the first harvest is 5 months. So I'm not encouraging people to really go in for it if you don't have big fields with a lot of water. And also if you don't have other varieties of rice, because it means that even if it is for subsistence agriculture, you mean that you're saying that you stay 5 months without any rice in the kitchen. So I would encourage people with big fields that have water throughout 5 months of the year to plant it. And there are areas where they can plant other rice like Nerika, because these are very fast varieties of rice.
Groundnut, as the country's main cash crop, is also extensively grown in Jammeh's Kanilay farms, though not for commercial purposes. Its production is only restricted to seed preservation and multiplication.
You know, the groundnut here, you can have more money from the groundnut here than from the groundnuts themselves. And what is even amazing, there are people that don't go to the farms that earn more than the farmers.
The quality of the produce, both farm and garden products, are excellent, as the slogan is "Endeavor to produce the best." This is because a lot of research work is done on all the products grown to attain high yields.
What we do during the dry season, when I go to Kanilay, we count 500 nuts, or if it is groundnut, 500 nuts If it is rice, maybe 1,000 grains, we plant them. And they take care of it, and we see the rate of percentage of germination, the rate of harvest, and this is what we put. So if it doesn't do well during the dry season, we change the quality, we change this, we will not use that as seed crop, we sell it.
Agriculture, being the oldest human industry, means that you can still find some of the oldest up-to-Stone Age methods in agriculture being used today. At the Kanilay farms, mechanization is being used, though minimized, as animal-drawn implements are used coupled with human spirit.
In agriculture, if you want the maximum return from the crops, you don't have to till the soil. And I learned that from Brazil. So now we're going back to the Stone Age. When there were no animal-drawn implements, they just throw the crops or plant them as the soil is, and just weed it and harvest it. In Kanilay, we avoid as much as possible using this chemical fertilizer. We use a natural way of fertilizing the soil using animals ranging from cattle, sheep, and even the animals in the park. Their droppings is what we collect and use it on a lot of farms. You know, because we want Kanilay to remain an organic farm.
Two categories of labor force are visible on the Kanilay farms. Those involved in the certain daily tasks that are indispensable are employed and duly paid, whilst the second category comprises volunteers who assist in all areas of production.
The labor force, some people come to contribute their quota because President Jammeh is doing for everybody. They come to do it for themselves because they say they come to do the job for themselves because what President Jammeh is gaining from the proceeds, give it back to the people.
Apart from food and crop production, another vital component of the Kanilay project is the game park, where different breeds of local and imported animals are reared. The list is endless between domestic and wild animals as well as poultry products.
I have a natural attachment to wildlife. You learn a lot of things from wildlife. Sometimes when I go to the park and see all the various animals that are there, living peacefully, and I says, if somebody were to call me an animal, the first reaction is that I will see it as an insult and I'll be angry. But when you watch wildlife and the way they behave, you know, you will understand that sometimes they tell you that you are an animal, it's a credit. And you sit at the park and you see how the animals take care of their young ones, how they live in groups, how they take care of each other, they care and defend each other. But basically how protective they are of their youngsters. And then you see the human race today, how irresponsible some parents can be. You wonder whether the animals are higher than humanity today.
Kanilay is also a place where aquaculture is truly practiced. Animals that can be reared on both land and in water are visible, the likes of land and water tortoise, catfish and ladyfish, which are harbored in the deep lake about 17 to 20 meters deep.
Basically what we have are a combination of quasi-fresh saltwater aquatic species, like catfish. Catfish are predominantly from the CRD area, which is predominantly freshwater. But we also have tilapia from the River Gambia, which is from saltwater. We are able to get it acquainted to freshwater environment. And we have some of the biggest tilapia in the Gambia. But we also have different types of fish from the river and from the sea.
The income generation aspect is another vital area of importance as far as the Kanilay farms and game park are concerned. Interestingly, proceeds from the sale of food products and gate takings from tourists at the game park are channeled to the Jammeh Foundation for Peace. The foundation is a truly humanitarian enterprise spearheaded by President Jammeh to help the needy and underprivileged. The pageant scheme under the Jammeh Foundation for Peace is specifically for sponsoring local educational schemes, such as providing scholarship to needy and genuine students of the university or other schools. A lot of students overseas are also sponsored from funds generated by the Kanilay farms.
Most of the proceeds from Kanilay farms that go to pageant are for local university fees and school fees for people, you understand? So, and of course also here and there you see people requesting for financial assistance to undergo medical treatment in Senegal or somewhere else, you know. So basically the proceeds from Kanilay is divided into two. We give to Jammeh Foundation some of the things to sell on them on their own, and sometimes also you realize that I make pledges and I pay directly to whatever I have pledged for. So all that comes from Kanilay farms.
Kanilay Farm is also a major research center where the suitability of crops of Mediterranean descent are tested to adapt to tropical conditions and where different animal species are crossbred.
The best way in agriculture to find out whether a crop will survive or not is research. You plant it, and if it doesn't work well, you know that, well, really what I read from the book is true. You understand? So you have all varieties of farm activities going on in Kanilay. But most important is the fact that the variety of crops that we have, not even NARI has it, the National Agricultural Research Institute. And the type of research we carry at Kanilay, not even NARI is doing that, you know. So it's a major research center as well.
Being a naturally born farmer and herbalist, President is believed to have possessed a vast knowledge of plants and their uses, especially in relation to treatment of ailments or diseases.
My secret is the interest to know, the curiosity. I'm very inquisitive. Whatever I see, you see, whatever I see, there are three questions I ask myself. What is it? Why is it so? And when? So I try to find answers to all this. And that's how I get the knowledge that I want.
His knowledge of herbs, he believes, is inherited from his family trail, most of whom were farmers, hunters, and herbalists.
In most cases in Fonyi or in Wola society, most of the people that have hunting as part of their family heritage are normally automatically herbalists. I'll tell you about the bone setting. The knowledge was acquired in the bush. It was never acquired in a madrasa or in somebody's compound. No. And so that is how herbal medicine in the Jola community is hereditary. It's from one person to the other. It's passed from the father to son or from father to nephew or whatever. Do you understand? So I have a vast knowledge of plants that are very useful.
President Jammeh's involvement in agricultural production since 1994 has yielded positive results for the nation. The experience has not only been that of satisfaction, but an account of challenging and daunting undertakings.
If you don't believe in it, sometimes don't even attempt it because you will not go further. Because most of the time you come up with one constraint after the other. And nothing is more painful to a farmer than to have high hope in a field and it fails. You have to have faith. And also you must also be versatile. You must always have a backup plan. In agriculture, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, just to put it bluntly. You have to diversify. You don't have to depend on one crop because then you could have a disastrous disappointment that will discourage you from engaging in agriculture for the rest of your life. You must know that agriculture is time intensive. You must be there to see what is going on. That's why very often I go to Kanilay, not because for anything, but I have to see what is going on.
Dr. Jammeh has serious plans for the future, which no doubt can impact positively on Gambian agriculture. He believes nothing less than 10,000 tons of rice can be produced from the Kanilay farms in the year 2006, and products from the farms will also be exported to other countries. Another plan is to encourage the idea of departmental farms and institutionalize it like Operation Clean the Nation.
If every department spends one weekend or every weekend on a farm, they become more productive. You know, it brings a new, it invigorates people, if you understand. It strengthens your spirit and a sense of responsibility. So every institution in this country, I mean government institution, must be ready for farms.
Though much has been achieved in making Kanilay farms and game park a household name in the Gambia, much more needs to be done to sustain or even increase the gains realized.
The biggest regret I have is not going into plantation agriculture. One, it would have cost by now all the trees would have been producing anyway. And I was not interested in cashew nut agriculture. And this is, apart from Findi and sesame, this is the highest income generating crop. And it's less labor intensive, and it's almost 99% risk free.
Notwithstanding, agriculture being the first industry must be seen to be practiced and sustained in an environmentally friendly way, as is clearly demonstrated in Kanilay farms. This is in pursuance of the goals of the Bali Plan of Action, of which the Gambia is the president of the 5-country pilot projects aimed at sustainable use of the environment.
Agriculture was the first industry, and it is here to stay. No matter what you are, whether an astronaut, you have to eat. And what you eat can only be produced from the soil. You understand? So we should take agriculture very seriously. It's the most entertaining, though difficult, it's the most entertaining and refreshing activity I can see. You can even have your small plot of land as recreational. It's very nice to wake up in the morning and during the weekend you have nothing to do. You go around and look at your crops and you start tending them. It's very good even to look at something green. Allah rewards you by turning the soil and freeing some of the insects and whatever that you allow them to breathe. It's part and parcel of worship of Allah. So agriculture is the first industry, and certainly it is here to stay, as long as humanity is in this world.